Today we're going to be deep diving into the conditions of the cards of my next CGC submission. First question you might be asking is, why are you still grading with CGC? My answer to that is kind of complicated, but I'll try and summarize it. Most of the time I'll grade with CGC nowadays if I want to get the cards back quickly, or if I have fairly high value cards that have surface issues that PSA will most likely harshly grade. I think the common sentiment among graders and collectors right now is that CGC is a little bit more forgiving on surface issues than PSA. So when I run into otherwise really good looking cards that might have some surface issues, I tend to send those cards to CGC instead of risking the lower grade for the longer turnaround time at PSA. So let's analyze these cards. These cards might look familiar. That is because they are actually from the $4,500 Japanese binder collection that I bought recently. Most of these cards came from that binder, if not all of them. And like I said in that video, most of these cards have micro scratches on the surface or some sort of small dent or ding. And those reasons kind of inform my decision to want to grade these with CGC over PSA. But we're going to go through each card. We're going to take a look at the damage. And then hopefully when these cards come back, we can get a better idea of just how harsh CGC is with surface, or how cards that look like these might grade with CGC. A little bit of an experiment today. First card we have is the Japanese base set Charizard. Probably the worst looking card from the submission today, I think, in terms of damage. But of course, it's a Japanese base Charizard. It's got a nice swirl on the bottom right. That's why we're sending it in for grading. You can see centering looks actually really nice. The front of the card actually looks pretty good. No major issues. But once we get to the back of the card is where we start to see problems. And as you can see from here, there's a little bit of whitening in the top, but otherwise looks really minty, right? Well, once you hit the card in the right light, you'll start to see the flaws. You can see that the card has a little dent down in the bottom middle-ish. You can see that it has those micro scratches across the card. And you can see on the right-hand side here, we have a pretty major dent very close to the edge that goes about 1/3 of the way down the card. Kind of crazy when people take pictures of these cards like this, and it's like, oh yeah, beautiful, look at that. Absolutely PSA 9 worthy Japanese base Charizard. You turn it a little bit, and it goes from a PSA 9 to a PSA 4, 5, or 6, or whatever. Next up is the famous CD promo Charizard. Very memorable card, definitely worth grading. Now, as you can see, again, the front looks really nice. Nothing particularly nasty about the front, but again, like always, let's take a look at the back. So the first thing we see is that little ding up there, top middle, got a bit of a dent or some sort of impression there. But other than that, honestly, the card looks pretty good. It's got those micro scratches on the back, but no other like major problems, just that kind of ding top middle. But yeah, otherwise, whitening wise, very nice. Centering wise, very nice. The front looks gorgeous, so we'll see. Next up, we have Blaine's Charizard. Obviously, it is very iconic, one of the earliest Charizards. And let's take a look at the front. Once again, really clean on the front. No major issues. Let's take a look at the back. The back shows all, especially in the right light. So, this one, see if we find anything egregious. I actually don't. This card is actually pretty decent. There's a little bit of maybe an impression or something there on the right-hand side. You can see there, it kind of shows you. A little bit of a dent there on the edge. Kind of similar to the CD promo with the little dent that was on the top. Other than that, the back has obviously the surface scratches, kind of the micro scratches, but that's really the only little flaw over there on the right. Next up is Dark Charizard. Again, iconic Charizard. I actually really like this artwork. A lot of people don't like it because he's not facing the camera, but I actually like that he's turned away. It really has that dark feel, an angry expression on his face. Let's take a look at the front first. Not any huge problems that I can see right off the bat. There are a couple little nicks in the top, probably considered whitening. I don't think that would be considered like a dent. And then I think the worst issues are kind of that whitening up in that corner. We kind of saw that on the front. It's also present here on the back. But apart from that, mostly just micro scratches and a little bit of whitening. You can see there's a little whitening at bottom left, little whitening middle right, little whitening top middle. Not really any terrible surface issues, mostly corner and edge wear. A lot of these old back collections you're going to find are going to have surface scratches. Like, it's going to be really difficult to find extremely clean, scratchless old back. I think that's just kind of what happened to these cards, especially cards that sit in binders for decades, which these cards, you could tell, were baked into their sleeves in the binder. They were there for a long time. Next up, we have CD Promo Blastoise. So much like the Charizard, this one, again, a very iconic card, very iconic artwork. On the front of the card, I don't see any issues. It looks pretty decent to me. No bends, creases, anything on the front. No edge wear. Centering's really nice. Let's take a look at the back now. The major problem here is just this piece of whitening, and then obviously the micro scratches across the back. Otherwise, this card looks really nice. Pretty major scratch right there, you can see. Definitely some major scratches coming down from the middle. I've been grading with CGC now for a while. I've been grading with PSA now for quite a while. I still can't tell you with certainty what grade any card in particular is going to get. That's why I think occasionally doing submissions like these where you're really taking in what type of damage each card has and can then, apply that knowledge to hopefully the grade that comes back and whether or not you feel like that's justified, or going forward, you can inform your grading decisions going forward. Now we have the Venusaur CD promo. Centering looks really nice. We kind of lucked out with centering on these. A lot of old back can be off center, but these actually look really, really decent. See if we can find any major issues. This is actually probably the cleanest card we've seen so far. Oh, no. Okay, I actually just saw it. I might not send this one. It's going to be really tough to show on camera. You can kind of see a little indent there. There's actually a pretty good binder dent that goes across here. Pretty faint overall. It's not like a super egregious one. It's hard to see unless you hit it in the right light. But yeah, definitely a decent sized binder dent going across about halfway to the middle. On to the next one, we have the Bulbasaur starter deck, green deck thing, whatever it's called. It's the same artwork as the CD promo, but it just has a little Bulbasaur symbol instead of the little lightning bolt symbol. Front looks really nice, nothing insane to speak of. There's a little nick there in the top middle-ish, you can kind of see next to my finger, but other than that, looks pretty decent. Let's take a look at the back. This card looks very, very clean, apart from the micro scratches. I don't see any dents, not a whole lot of whitening to speak of, maybe a little bit in the top. This one looks really, really good. Next up is one of my favorite Alakazam cards. We have the Masaki Alakazam. Masaki cards are notorious for having the quote-unquote Masaki mark, which basically the cards were delivered in envelopes where there were two pieces of cardboard or paper or stiff paper or whatever that held the card to the actual like postcard or whatever it was on. So a lot of times those sections that held the card in place leave marks on the back, especially on ones that weren't immediately removed. These cards definitely have the Masaki marks, I can tell you that right now. But this one in particular, very clean on the front. But on the back, let's see if we can see the Masaki marks. There's one. You can see right up here. That line that kind of goes in and up, that right there is a Masaki mark. You can kind of see here we've got a little bit of edge wear or some sort of damage happening on the edge. And then down there you can see the Masaki mark again. You can see it go all the way across the corner. These cards are just really nice. The way that you got them was super cool. You had to send in like this transfer card with a Kadabra, and then they would send you back the Alakazam. They did the same with Machamp and Gengar and all of those trade Pokemon. All right, the Machamp. Very nice little Komiya artwork. Once again, looks really solid on the front. There is a little piece, you might not be able to see it because of the lighting, on the right side over here. On the back, again, if I just show you it like this, it looks so freaking clean. But let's take a look at the actual surface of the card. So this one, you should see a Masaki mark down here. It's not as bad as the Alakazam, but you could definitely still see it. It's more faint than the Alakazam, but it's still there. So the Masaki marks are a little bit better on the Machamp, but as you can see, surface scratches all the way across, deep scratch going all the way down the card. This is what gets you sometimes on Bai, is these really straightforward photos where it's not in the light at all and you can't see any imperfections and they look really minty, and then you get them in and they have a gigantic scratch that goes all the way down the right hand side. So yeah, just be careful when you're out there and you don't see any light hitting the card in a way that you can tell if there's any damage or not. Just be wary. I think we have a decent idea now on multiple different types of cards that exhibit multiple different issues. We've got card that has a crease. We've got cards that have deep scratches. We've got cards that have Misaki marks. We've got cards that have edge wear and corner wear, but nothing else. We have really clean cards that just have micro scratches on the back. I feel like we have a good variety of cards to be able to kind of test CGC's sort of grading, just how ugly can a card be and still hit that 8.5 mark. I'll just quickly show you guys the rest of this submission. We've got the Uyama Pikachu. We've got the Neo Umbreon, the very first Moonbreon, with the Neo Lugia. We've got a Japanese base Mewtwo. Got Fossil Dragonite and Fossil Zapdos. Both of those looked very clean, so I thought I would send them in. These are really cool. We've got the Quick Starter Hollows for the Articuno, the Moltres, and the Zapdos. It's an awesome set of hollows. All of them look pretty clean. We've got the CD Promo Snorlax, or the Game Boy Promo Snorlax. I think it's still considered a CD promo. It's called Hungry Snorlax. We also have the Snorlax from Jungle with the nice swirl there on the left. We have the Jungle Vaporeon with the nice swirl right in between the face and the tail. We've got the Rocket Scyther. Badass looking card. We've got Arcanine, Blaine's Arcanine. We've got Gengar from Fossil. We have Typhlosion from Neo Genesis. We have the Nintendo Error Mew card. Nintendo is spelt wrong down here. I don't know which one is more prevalent. I think there's a fixed version and a Nintendo Error version. I don't know if the Nintendo Error is the more out there one. And we have these two promos. So we have the Blastoise EX promo, Black Star promo. The Blastoise isn't so bad. It's just got some whitening on the corners and edges. But the Venusaur definitely has got some issues. We got Venusaur here with Scyther down here. Very, very cool Vileplume as well. This one has more like corner weirdness. Last but not least, we have Plasma Freeze, I think. Charizard, one of the Plasma sets. Charizard, this is actually the Cosmos Hollow, so I think this came from a theme deck or something. And yeah, just a really nice looking Charizard. And actually, it was fairly clean, so that's why I added it to this submission. Might as well send it in, get it slabbed up. It is a Charizard. So thank you guys for watching. And just a reminder, we do have members now on the channel. So there's a join button underneath this video that you guys can click. There should be a $1.99, $4.99, and $9.99 membership levels. If you want to join one of those and support the channel a little bit monetarily, I very much appreciate that. But honestly, just watching all the videos, you guys have, I don't know how my videos get multi-hundred views now. It just kind of felt like it happened overnight. But the community is continuing to grow. I really appreciate you guys supporting the videos. Make sure to comment, hit the like button on each of them that you watch, and I just appreciate it. So thank you guys very much.